You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan Arcaracci, where I speak to business professionals from all walks of life. Thanks for listening, and let's get to it. Hey everybody, Ryan here. If you remember being a child or a kid in school, painting was always a fun experience. And I think as we get older, we could become adults. We don't remember or even dive into painting much unless you're a professional artist. But my guest today, Cheryl Vargas, creative in chief, founder of Studio 928, is bringing back the magic of painting to a lot of her clients and customers. So I want to welcome Cheryl. Thanks for being here, Cheryl.
Well, thank you. And thank you for that introduction, because you hit on something so important about art. And that is that we leave it in our childhood. And some of us never return to it. So what I'm doing with Studio 928, outside of our tagline, we connect, engage, and delight teams with art, is I bring art into the workplace so that people who have forsaken it can revisit it again. I believe that art is human, is a primal need. Right. And so incorporating art into the everyday activities in a workplace is just something that's unique, innovative, in a way to shape things up.
Yeah, I agree. It's really interesting. So tell us a little bit about the background of this brand and this company.
Yeah, so I started out as a mobile paint and sip company in 2018, and my audience was B2C. And my goal was to open up my own studio. And ultimately, I did that in February of 2020. We had our grand opening in March of 2020, and we know what happened after that. So right. I went from doing an in-person live event in the studio to having to pivot and have virtual events. And I was able to do that successfully because I had incorporated paint kits to go in my business plan. So we had all the shipping materials and everything necessary to make this happen. So we started out, our promotional activities were just basically organic SEO. And we netted clients like Netflix, LinkedIn, the Gates Foundation, Disney, NBC Universal, and the list goes on. Wow. And it was just a crazy thing because, of course, I felt the same disappointment as everyone else in seeing a dream come true and then having it dashed against the rocks. And so getting this sort of I don't know what you want to call it, support or validation from major corporations like this really helped me decide that I wanted to focus more on bringing this type of a experience to the workplace to help unite and engage people.
Right. So tell us, what's the process like? So a company is interested in doing this and it's more of like a team building sort of exercise, right? It motivates people. It's fun. It gets people to work together and have a good time. So what's it like when if a company inquires, what do they get from you?
So the first thing we do is we talk about objectives. You know, are you having problems with employee engagement or relationships? So we put together a program to address those issues specifically. But how it works is we basically just select a date or several dates where we're going to interact. And then we put together kits that we ship out internationally. We recently did a program with Red Bull International where we had teams from Russia, Canada, Mexico, and the United States on a call. So distance is not an issue for us anymore. Mm-hmm. But then from that point, we sit down and, we also fill out a questionnaire about the team, what their likes and dislikes are, what their, the basic demographics of the teams that we're working with so that we can tailor our conversation and interactions towards those team members and helping them to get to know each other better from an everyday talking heads point of view, and people trying to solve problems, to people who have worked together on a regular basis, actually knowing more about each other and talking about their families and talking about past joyful experiences. So we know that art, of course, helps to reduce stress and release happy hormones and put the kibosh on the stress hormone, cortisol. So in addition to, the actual creative experience, they also get to just wind down from the everyday and do something that they've neglected, or most of us have neglected for most of our lives, and that's art. So from that, it's usually anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the time available. We can do it on a one-time basis, or we like to do it on a 6-time basis as well. And from there, our feedback is totally positive, that people feel more connected to their team members. They know them better. They feel like they've had a dose of rejuvenation, for that time period. So it's a really good way to bring people together and give them an opportunity to just recharge, boost that creative thinking muscle, that problem solving muscle. And that's what we believe art does for them.
So I'm curious about the idea that, so they're in the office setting and they're painting together. And how does it help build the team? Is it more because people are talking while they're doing it, they're having fun, they're joking, they're looking at each other's work?
Absolutely.
Is that part of why it's successful in terms of just building a better team environment?
Absolutely. We believe that it helps with company culture 100%. Also in employee branding, because when people are talking about how much they love this experience on a regular basis, then of course they're going to be saying great things about the company, which helps them to attract good people. But yeah, we not only do it in person, but we also do it virtually. So yes, it is the opportunity to interact and to know each other on a more personal level. There's no work discussion, even though I may have had a conversation with the team leader or the C-level executive about what their team needs in terms of increasing production, for instance, or increasing engagement. None of that comes into play when we're actually having conversations. It's just really human. It's really fun. It's really engaging. It's really colorful, and just the opportunity to experience art. But yes, it is about building relationships. That is the cornerstone of what bringing art into the workplace does.
I'm just curious, do you ever have corporate sales teams maybe invite clients or potential clients to do it? Has that ever come up?
Yeah, we've worked with quite a few financial institutions, and also with the Bill Gates Foundation. They brought in a lot of their investors to participate and have this opportunity to know each other. Some people only have met superficially, and some of the questions we ask reveal a side of a person that others haven't seen. So yeah, we've worked quite frequently in that regard.
That's great. So what kind of responses or what kind of results have you seen with the companies you've worked with? I mean, have you just seen a better communication come out of it, a happier teams, better relationships? What have you seen?
Yeah, we do a short survey before the event occurs, each one, and then afterwards. And we just do really a basic rating of what's your mood right now, how are you feeling? And then afterwards, the same thing. And then, of course, I circle back with the team leader and talk to them about how they felt things were going. And we've just got an overwhelmingly positive response. So, I think when you think about ROI, we think about numbers, but first we have to think about people. And so when we think about people, we think about how they feel and how they interact with each other. That's what makes the difference within a company. I think it reminds me of that book, Good to Great, about leaders and how they interact with their teams. And so if you show from a very human standpoint that you care and you're giving your team this kind of a mental break, the ROI comes out, it
Right.
may not be directly measurable from a Studio 928 point of view, but
Yeah.
from the company point of view and how the team is, acting better and interacting better, that's where you see the results.
Right. Right. I mean, that's fantastic. Have you ever seen somebody just, you know, paint something just really like just amazing, like a professional
Oh,
level artist?
I thought you were going to say something really awful.
No, no, no,
Um,
no,
have you
no,
ever
no.
seen someone paint something really awful?
No.
Surprisingly, no. I have
Okay.
never seen the negative thing happen. In terms of seeing people paint something amazing, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think one of the most frequent objections I've heard
Yeah.
from people who don't experience art on a regular basis is, I can't even draw a straight line, or
Yeah.
I couldn't draw a stick man if I tried. And
Yeah.
it's those people who say this protective thing because deep down inside, they really do wish they were better artists. So when they get the opportunity to paint, they go all in
Yeah.
and produce some amazing things. They're the ones who go rogue on the assigned painting and do something, outside of the box, something totally creative. So something so unexpected.
Yeah.
We did a painting of a Bob Ross type scene. I do a styled Bob Ross landscape
Mm-hmm.
painting. And just out of the blue, this guy, in the center of the painting is the moon. And this guy sketched a little ET flying over the moon.
Mm-hmm.
It was just perfect. And if you
Yeah.
remember the movie ET Extraterrestrial,
Yeah.
but it just added a different level to the painting. But I see that a lot, that these people produce some really amazing works
Yeah. That's
when they
great.
thought they couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, there's a hidden talent that comes out. So that's great.
Mhm.
Um, do they so what happens after they're done? They take the painting home, or do they put it up usually at the office, or how does that happen?
Yeah, so had a couple of situations where the artwork was a collaborative piece. So it hung in the a reception area of the office. But for the most part, most people take them home and display them there. We have a few series so that when people do paint with us several times, the series goes together so they can be hung in a grouping. But we've also done a company-wide art project that was a three-dimensional sculpture
Mm-hmm.
where 150 people at a national conference created a part of the sculpture. I created the other part here in Oak Park, Illinois. And then that sculpture sits in the lobby of their headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh,
It was
wow.
a pineapple, a 9-foot pineapple.
Nice.
So well, I do a lot of collaborative art, and I like the idea of recycled art. And our 9-foot pineapple was actually built from recycled materials.
So what kind of, I mean, if we talk about industries that work with you in particular, have you seen kind of a variety of different types of companies, or has it been more of like one certain type that's really gravitated towards what you do?
So I like to say that, or from what I've seen, it's the innovators and the early adopters of new employee retention type initiatives and employee attraction type initiatives that have come to us. They want to do something different. They want to do something outside the box. They want to shake it up so that it's something that uh, people gravitate towards. So, but to answer your question directly, we've worked with a lot of financial institutions, colleges, universities, and industry leaders. So, I mean, I think I mentioned the companies already. So, yeah, they're pretty large companies, corporate teams.
So, I mean, it's interesting to me because in this day and age, we have we hear a lot about the great resignation where people are leaving jobs. They're going off and doing their own thing. Companies are trying to retain people. So I think you are in an interesting time. Do you feel like this is improving retention, or this is attracting more people to work? given that we're in this post-pandemic sort of pandemic world where people are finding it harder and harder to hire and keep people. So do you think this is really integral to maintain that and keep employees around?
I think it could be, because it's not something that gets old. You know, right. I don't want to mention any other people who are doing virtual things or team building or anything like that. But in art, it's not going to get old. It's always going to be something new and different, something that person creates, something that's never existed before. Yeah. And when you think about the benefits associated with stress reduction, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because behind the scenes, behind all this fun and creativity is also just this meditative flow.
Right.
You know, I mean, and who takes time for meditation? We all know we need it.
Yeah.
But we don't do it. Even I talk about it all the time. And, in the summertime, it's a little better. I'll go to the track and then I meditate for 5 minutes afterwards. But who wants to be doing that in the wintertime? But for art, so when I sit down and do art, that's meditative. Yeah. That's lowering my blood pressure. That's making me feel good. That's taking my mind off of all the external things that may be, prevalent in my mind. But yes, I think it can do a lot towards building company culture and company branding and just overall, mental health wellness for employees.
Right. And I think these days people need it now more than ever, because I think, given the situation we've been in, people are just generally stressed and trying to work through life with all that's going on. So I think this is something that people need, really.
Yeah.
And I do remember.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I practice meditation as much as I can as well. And I do know, I watched a little bit about Bob Ross and how he was very, not only was he really a great artist, but he was also really good at making people feel good and calm and really enjoy art. So I think you're doing that too, which is great. So
thank you. Yeah, Bob Ross, he's my hero. He sits on my desk here. And the crazy thing, the fact that you mentioned meditation, is that not like 95% of the people who watched him paint never painted with him. They just watched because it was so calming.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought up my guy, Bob.
Yeah. So Cheryl, where can people contact you or find you if they have interest in working with you with their company?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. Super easy there. I'm Cheryl Vargas, and my company is Art Studio 928. You can also find me on Instagram as studio.928, and my website is studio928.net.
Perfect. Well, if you're out there, you're listening to this, you have a company, or a company, a colleague or someone in your network who wants to improve morale, or just maybe get everybody relaxing and not stressing so much at work, contact Cheryl. She can definitely help you out there. Cheryl, it's been great talking to you as always. I wish you the best with everything, and let's keep in touch, okay?
Okay, that sounds good, Ryan. And wait, before you go, can I just mention one more thing?
Yeah.
So when we work with companies, we also have team members who like to paint with us afterwards. So for them, especially, we offered an additional class. So we're starting one that begins March 12th, and registration is open now. So all you have to do is go to studio928.net, and that will take you to those public classes.
Great.
And that's
March 12th, 2022, March 12th. Go and register now. Okay, Cheryl. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll keep in touch here and there, okay?
Okay, sounds good, Ryan. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in becoming an episode sponsor, please email me at livingryan@gmail.com. And thank you so much.